welcome back to another episode of Plenty of Tiff. I'm your host, Tiffany, aka Opinionated Diva. Today, we are balancing the nostalgic with the chaos, okay? From celebrating an HBCU sitcom classic making its way back to our screens to pulling back the curtain on some serious GOP foolery that you have to hear to believe. Let's jump right in. So actually, before we jump right into episode 30, let's take a moment to talk about a major loss that gripped Hollywood this past week and celebrities and fans alike. Actress Hayden Panettiere passed away at the age of 36, 1 week shy of her 37th birthday, which is actually today, the day of this taping, August 21st. While the internet took no time doing what it does and starting to pick apart her personal life and turning her memory into tabloid clickbait, I want us to pause and actually respect not only the woman that she was, but what she brought to our screens. Now, I'm not going to say I was a huge fan, but I think this death did touch everyone, right? When you think about it, Hayden's work literally spans generations. This woman was working before she could even fully process what a career was. By the time she was 5 years old, she had already done over 50 commercials. If you grew up in the 90s or 2000s, Hayden was part of your life. Whether she was melting your hearts in Remember the Titans, voicing iconic characters in A Bug's Life, or saving the world as Claire Bennett on Heroes. But for me, it was being powerhouse country pop talent Juliette Barnes on Nashville. And if you know how much I love a good Dixie Chick song on karaoke, then you know that I love that show when they have me in a chokehold. So she really was an undeniable talent. She really lived an entire lifetime in 36 years, and that can be looked at in a myriad of ways. Behind that on-screen presence was a woman carrying a load that most people twice her age couldn't carry. Hell, I haven't even experienced a fraction of what she went through. Her story is a somber reminder of the dark side of child stardom, the immense pressure, the lack of a normal childhood, and the fishbowl existence where every struggle is broadcast for the world to see. As an adult, life kept hitting her hard. She endured public toxic relationships, battles with severe addiction and substance abuse, losing her younger brother, Jansen, and navigating debilitating postpartum depression after having her daughter, which ultimately led to her handing over full custody to the father of her child and her then ex-fiance. She recently opened up about those struggles in her memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning. Yet, instead of getting empathy while she was here, the media treated her like nothing more than a headline. It's a reminder that what happens when society treats human beings like public property. And speaking of how people treat you when you're down, I'm not letting Neutrogena off the hook either, okay? Despite their 3-in-1 facial cleanser, honey, it is good, okay? But Neutrogena came out with a public apology saying they were, quote, sorry she didn't feel supported when they quietly dropped her contract while she was going through postpartum depression, right? It's a little too late though, don't you think? They went straight into corporate crisis mode. Why? Because people started calling them out. To be fair, people should have been calling them out while she was here too. But that apology could have come at any point over the last 10 years, especially when Hayden spoke out publicly about how much it hurt her to be let go right when she was struggling with her mental health. But they stayed silent until her passing, which only made them look worse. Is this genuine remorse or is it just protecting the financial bottom line because consumers are holding y'all accountable? I don't know. It just feels very performative to me. You don't get to wait until someone passes away to acknowledge their suffering just to save brand reputation, okay? Brands dropping talent, though, is nothing new. So I don't know if this whole thing is boycott worthy, but honey, I'm still on target next, so to each their own. Either way, at this point, picking apart her life or watching corporations do damage control or even demanding accountability serves Hayden absolutely no purpose. It brings her absolutely no peace. So what can we do? We can look in the mirror. We can examine our own lives, our relationships, our own mental health, and how we treat people around us. Hayden's story shows us that nobody is immune to trauma, depression, or heartbreak, no matter how famous or successful they look on camera. So with that, I'll give her the respect and peace in death that she deserved in life. So rest in peace, Hayden. Now that the somber news is out of the way, let's celebrate episode 30, okay? With some drama for your mama, starting with the Diva Drop. In this week's Diva Drop, we are taking it across the pond. You heard right. Pack your bags, clear up that calendar, because Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, and Prince Harry, whose name is Henry Charles Albert David, Duke of Sussex. Yeah, those two, they are officially out of here. All right, they are moving back to the UK. Reports broke this week that after 6 years of living in California sunshine, they are packing up Montecito. And this ain't just a quick vacation or a royal visit, okay? Archie and Lilibet are already enrolled in school in the UK coming up this September. So my friend's phone actually sent her a New York Times breaking news alert. She was so mad because she legitimately thought somebody died. But I hate that, which is why I don't get alerts. But no, nobody passed away. But the Sussexes are saying, cheerio, America. Now, neither side has released a formal statement, but both British outlets and American media are completely stunned at this move. And of course, the internet is theorizing. And by internet, I also mean me. People are asking why, like why now? Why go back to a place you ran away from? First of all, the taxpayer funded security detail situation, honey, still not resolved. They've been living as private citizens in the U.S. for 6 years with zero royal security. Honey, the writing is on that civilian wall. If y'all want 24/7 armed protection, you got to pay for it yourself, even over there. And second, why go back to the UK media after everything they put Meghan through? But let's be real here for a second. Like, if I had to choose between American racists and British racists right now, in this political state of the nation, at this point, it's pick your poison. Okay. I'd probably hop across the Atlantic too and take my chances. Also, what about Meghan's mom, Miss Doria? Grandma packing her bags to go to London too? Or is she going to stay in LA? Time will tell. Now, listen, the first go round, after they announced their engagement, got married, then the big Megxit happened in 2020, we had your back, girl. But after the launch of American Riviera Orchard turned as ever, Sister, you know good and damn well we ain't out here buying no $50 raspberry fruit spreads and organic edible confetti. I mean, Oprah bought it, but, well, I rest my case. So look, Duchess, when you land back over there after the cousins already told you and showed you what it was, you know, we got bigger fish to fry here in America, and we don't have the luxury of leaving, okay? So, okay, girl, all jokes aside, I genuinely hope this move brings them peace. Living in the public eye with 2 young kids is bad enough. I hope their life in the UK is wonderful, prosperous, and above all, quiet. Because hopefully, second time's a charm. All right, y'all. Let me know in the comments. Are you shocked by their moving back? Do you think the British media will behave this time? I don't know, honey. I don't know. Next up is today's segment, Shine, Shade, or Side Eye. My very first shine of the day goes to none other than Jordyn Woods and our very own New York Knicks and 5, Karl Anthony Towns. They officially tied the knot in Malibu. And let me tell you, this was not just a wedding. It was an event, okay? And I do have FOMO, but that's okay. I can admit that. Talk about a hard-earned victory lap after the year that Kat has had. Well deserved. And as expected, the guest list was definitely star-studded. Everybody was dressed in all black, formal wear, giving an ultra sleek, high fashion funeral to that single life. The real icing on the cake, though, was Kat bringing out the actual championship trophy onto the dance floor while everybody was singing along to Empire State of Mind and New York, New York. I love to see it. But what makes this a true shine for me is their love story. They didn't just rush into this. They were best friends for years before it ever turned romantic. They bonded through deep personal grief, Jordyn losing her father, Kat losing his mother, and them basically holding each other down through like the absolute worst times in anyone's life, right? Before coming together and being on top, all right? So someone cue Mary J. Blige's Real Love, because that is the definition. All right. Big shine to Mr. and Miss Towns. Congratulations, y'all. New York loves you. Now, moving right along from a whole lot of love to a whole lot of what in the hell. major side eye of the day is going straight to Howie Mandel, and you might know him from America's Got Talent. So get this. News has been circulating about a recent episode on his podcast where he casually mentions that he likes to get frequent massages at massage parlors with extra services. And of course, the internet went wild, and he knew it would. So was it casually mentioned? I doubt it, right? Narcissist at its finest. But first of all, how old are you? You've been married for over 40 years, and you were sitting on a podcast saying all of this in front of your adult daughter. I think she's 41, who's your co-host, visibly mortified, telling you how uncomfortable it makes her. Like, sir, is that really the kind of father-daughter bonding you're into? The story definitely spills over into my read the room, because what in the hell? Whether he thinks it's a dry comedy bit or a real confession, doing that right next to your grown daughter for clicks is top tier cringe. And second, the jokes, aka you, literally write themselves. We have spent years listening to you make an international spectacle out of your germophobia and severe OCD. So you can't shake hands with everyday people on television, but you can go and get hands on at a local massage parlor. So you won't shake a hand, but you'll let a hand shake you. The math is not mathing. So I don't even watch America's Got Talent anyway, so I won't waste too much airtime on this foolishness. So moving on. Speaking of dynamic relationships between men and women, let's talk about the whole pop the balloon debate. Now, for anybody who doesn't know the background, and by anybody, I mean me, Pop the Balloon was created by husband and wife duo Arlette Amuli and Bolia Matundu. They started it as an independent YouTube series around 2023 with a basic $1,500 setup. This gives me hope because Plenty of Tiff definitely invested about the same, okay? But the concept is simple. A line of singles stands with red balloons, and the second a contestant says or looks like something they don't like, they just pop the balloon and there goes a rejection all in your face. I will 1000% never go on this show unless they need a guest host. And yes, I'm pitching myself. I have no shame. I digress. It blew up into a major viral sensation with millions of views to the point where Netflix actually picked it up for a live spinoff hosted by Yvonne Orji, who you probably know from Insecure. So Netflix ended up canceling it after one season, but the original YouTube show is still going strong and still apparently driving the internet's crazy. The reason I'm covering this show today is because within the past week, the creators addressed the heavy backlash they've been getting. So critics have been coming for them, claiming the show promotes toxic dating culture, encourages shallow judgment, and amplifies negative stereotypes. I am against all of those things, but look, and nothing matters before the but. I'm going to give a huge shine to the creators. One, Bolia, for his response to the backlash. He made some valid points and basically said, paraphrasing, listen, we aren't creating the problem. We're just holding up a mirror, right? Dating in real life is superficial and materialistic. People will reject a great person over their socks or their shoes. So how are we going to fix the dating scene if you refuse to even acknowledge what it actually looks like? And honestly, where is the lie? He is literally just mirroring what happens every single day on dating apps and outside in these single and ready to mingle streets, okay? Because I'm out there. So how can you be mad at the mirror for showing you the reflection? Full transparency, I've only seen clips here and there on social media, so I haven't sat down, dive deep into it. But from what I've seen, I did not see the harm in this show. How on earth are people getting their blood pressure up over Pop the Balloon? But you will sit back and happily binge watch Love Island, The Bachelor, Bachelorette, 90 Day Anything, just to name a few. Those mainstream shows perpetuate every single toxic gender and sometimes racial stereotype in the book. People are lying, cheating, screaming, and acting a damn fool on national television. But that's considered primetime entertainment. On Pop the Balloon, nobody is trying to fight. It's straightforward, it's fast-paced, and it's real-time human behavior. Is it shallow? Absolutely. But people are shallow. The same folks who complain about this show being degrading are the same ones laying back on the couch, eating popcorn and watching trash TV till 2 a.m. No judgment because I'm watching true crime. till 3 a.m. But seriously, this show is harmless entertainment, in my opinion. So let's let these people pop those balloons in peace. Let's end this segment on a high note. I want to give a monumental shine to Netflix for officially bringing us back to Hillman College. The trailer for the series and the spinoff of A Different World just dropped, and class is officially back in session. Okay. Let me set the scene. This new 10-episode series follows Deborah Wayne, played by Tony winner Malia Joy Moon, who is the youngest daughter of none other than Dwayne Wayne and Whitley Gilbert. She's heading off to Hillman to carve out her own identity. So Kadeem Hardison and Jasmine Guy are returning, as well as Daryl M. Bell, Cree Summer, and Jada Pinkett Smith. Plus, the iconic Debbie Allen is back directing and executive producing. And the vocal Bible herself, Brandy, recorded a new version of the theme song. On a personal note, I grew up watching A Different World, and I was coming of age around the time the show was on. And so it just gave us such a rich, aspirational, and fly portrayal of Black excellence, romance, and HBCU culture. But then when I got to high school, I was blinded by Carolina Blue, but that is neither here nor there. Forever Hillman in my head. I absolutely love that a whole new generation is getting a modern version of what shaped so many of us. Even the spinoff has multiple generations portrayed in it, which I think will bring relatability to literally everyone from boomers to Gen Alpha. So I really can't wait to binge it. Okay. I might try to spread it out. I might. I don't know if I can do it though. Okay, it's time to wrap up today's episode for our final segment, which is Read the Room. And today the room feels like applying for a pilot's license and telling the FAA, listen, flying really isn't my thing, but I love airplanes. I feel like this segment is slowly becoming a weekly political commentary piece to the show because every week I am annoyed by GOP foolery. Okay? And before I get into the main event, can we briefly touch on these newly leaked details and letters following 4547 and his top executive assistant, Natalie Harp? Now, if you don't know who Natalie Harp is, and of course I did not, she's his 30-something-year-old aide dubbed by staff as his human printer because she literally follows him around 24/7 with a portable printer, feeding him positive news clips and printouts about himself. Okay, girl. Okay, girl. Reports are hot off the press revealing intensely admiring letters she's written to him, including notes where she's told him, quote, "You are all that matters to me." Honey, reading the notes that I just read made my skin crawl. Creepy, weird, borderline grooming adjacent is what it was giving. The way these grown men in power have young staff writing basically love letters like they're in middle school, it's uncomfortable. It's unprofessional. It's weird AF. But look, as creepy as that is, I got something else I want to talk about. And it went down in South Carolina because the next story took political embarrassment to an astronomical new level. Let's set the stage. Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham, was appointed to fill his Senate seat following his sudden passing. Now she's running in the primary runoff to keep that seat. She stepped onto the debate stage against her opponent, Congressman Ralph Norman, who is a seasoned 9-year U.S. representative who had a front row seat basically to her trip over basic 101 political questions. But in her defense, she carried on her family legacy by completely humiliating herself on television. The moderator asked her a basic elementary entry-level question about foreign policy. Okay? Now, I wouldn't know it, but I'm not running for office. Does the U.S. have a national security interest in Taiwan and the South China Sea? She froze. She stumbled around a little bit, blinked at the cameras, and then said out loud into the microphone, and I quote, "National security is not my thing. I'm not that informed on national security." National security is not my thing? Are you kidding me? You are running for the United States Senate. Foreign relations and national security are literally half the job. How on earth are you running for a federal constitutional office and admitting to the voters that you don't even know a single thing about global affairs? Like, do you want to look stupid on purpose? And that was a rhetorical question. And that is absolutely your thing. The media reaction was instantaneous. Headlines across the country immediately seized on it, calling it one of the most staggering debate fumbles in recent South Carolina history, dare I say American history. Critics pointed out the wild irony. Lindsey Graham literally built his entire career around acting like the nation's top military expert. And his sister, who inherited his seat, doesn't even know where Taiwan is on a map. And what is Fox News saying to defend this? Crickets. Even Fox News anchors and right-wing commentators couldn't spin gold out of that trash. They tried to gloss over it by focusing on her talking points about domestic affordability and immigration. But even conservative panels admitted her answer was an unmitigated disaster. Okay? Nobody on right-wing media could look into the camera with a straight face and pretend that saying foreign relations isn't my thing is acceptable for a sitting U.S. senator. So her defense the next day was, well, I've done more in 20 days than my opponent has done in 20 years. Ma'am, you were literally hand appointed to a seat because of your last name. You didn't win an election. You got a handed down family promotion. So, you're not a Nepo baby, but you're damn sure a Nepo lady. This is what happens when political parties rely on pure nepotism instead of actual qualifications. You end up with people on a national stage who are completely out of their depth, admitting they don't even know the basics of the job they are asking voters to give them. If national security isn't your thing, go crochet something. Miss Darlene, read the room. Just bow gracefully, if that's even possible. It ain't. But in the words of wise mom and Tabitha Brown, that's not my business. And that is your Read the Room for this week. There you have it, another episode of Plenty of Tiff in the books. You already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment, and share this episode with somebody who needs to read the room today. As always, the conversation doesn't stop here. Find me on Instagram at Opinionated Diva and on TikTok at The Opinionated Diva, because there's always plenty more, and pun fully intended where that came from. Until next time, catch y'all on the next one. All right. Peace.